Some people sleep because they're tired. Others sleep because they're exhausted by life itself. And if you've ever found yourself stuck in bed for hours, drifting in and out of consciousness like you're trying to disappear into the mattress, then you already know which kind of tired you are. Oversleeping is one of the most misunderstood behaviors. People think it means laziness, weakness, a lack of ambition. But the truth is almost always something quieter, heavier, and far more human. Most people who sleep too much aren't escaping responsibility. They're escaping awareness. Awareness of a life that feels overwhelming, unbearable, or strangely empty. There's a unique kind of pain that makes you want to stay asleep. It's not sharp or intense. It's the kind of pain that lingers inside you like a fog you can't walk through. And sleep becomes the only place where the fog temporarily clears, where your mind stops whispering the fears you wake up with every morning, where your chest stops carrying the weight of expectations you never asked for, where time stops chasing you and you can simply exist without pressure. People who sleep too much aren't lazy. They're tired in a way most people will never understand. Not tired from work, not tired from exercise, but tired from feeling, from thinking too much, caring too much, carrying too much, or pretending too much. There's a reason your body tells you, again and again, stay a little longer. Close your eyes again. Just a few more minutes. Because the moment you wake up, reality comes rushing in. The unfinished tasks, the relationships that feel distant, the decisions you've been postponing, the emotions you've been avoiding, the pressure to be functioning, smile, show up, make choices, do better. All of it waits for you on the other side of consciousness. So you press pause, and sleep becomes a shield. People rarely talk about the fact that oversleeping is often a form of emotional self-defense. It's the brain pulling the emergency brake, a way to protect you from overstimulation, from burnout, from feelings you're not ready to face. The mind says, "You're overwhelmed. Let me turn the lights off for a while." And maybe you don't realize it, but sleeping too much is usually connected to one of three invisible battles. Some people oversleep because they feel lost. Life feels directionless, blurry, without purpose. There's nothing to wake up for, so staying asleep becomes easier than wandering through hours that feel meaningless. Some oversleep because they're anxious. Their mind is a storm. Their body is always on alert. And sleep is the only time their nervous system quiets down enough to stop fighting ghosts that never existed. Others oversleep because they're sad. They wouldn't call it depression. They don't even look like the sad type on the outside. But inside, there's a weight they carry, a heaviness that never fully leaves. And sleep becomes a soft, silent escape, a place where that heaviness loosens its grip. And then there's a group that no one talks about. People who oversleep because they're emotionally numb. They don't feel excited. They don't feel sad. They just feel blank, detached, disinterested in everything around them. And sleep becomes the only thing that feels like something, a place where time passes without needing them to participate. But oversleeping isn't just emotional. It's deeply psychological. People who sleep too much often have a mind that never rests when they're awake. They overthink conversations from 3 years ago. They replay mistakes until the memory burns. They imagine worst-case scenarios before anything even happens. They feel every disappointment 5 times deeper than others. Even simple tasks feel huge because their mind keeps turning every small thing into a mountain. So they close their eyes. And for a while, everything goes silent. Sometimes oversleeping is the result of being mentally overstimulated for too long. Think of it like a phone that overheats. Eventually, it shuts down because it has no other choice. Your mind does the same. When emotions get too loud, when responsibilities pile up, when people demand too much, your brain simply says, "I'm done for now." And you sleep. The psychology behind it is simple but painful. Sleep becomes the easiest way to avoid the unbearable weight of being awake. But here's the part most people never notice. People who oversleep often struggle with guilt the moment they open their eyes. They hate themselves for wasting time, for not being productive, for choosing escape instead of effort, for disappointing themselves again. And that guilt becomes another reason they want to close their eyes. It becomes a cycle. The more they sleep, the worse they feel. And the worse they feel, the more they want to sleep. There's also something deeply emotional at play. People who sleep too much often feel alone in ways they never mention. Their loneliness isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, invisible, like sitting in a room full of people and still feeling disconnected from the world. So sleep becomes a companion, a soft place where nothing is expected from them, where they don't have to pretend, where they don't have to explain themselves, where the world can't reach them. Sleep becomes safety. Some people oversleep because they feel like life is happening without them, like they're watching everyone else move forward, achieve things, live freely, while they're stuck in place. And instead of fighting that feeling, they retreat into sleep, where no one is ahead of them and no one is behind. Time doesn't judge them. Failure doesn't threaten them. Dreams don't overwhelm them. Everything just pauses. There is also a deeper fear present in people who oversleep. The fear of facing reality. The fear of trying and failing. The fear of confronting emotions they've buried for years. The fear of responsibility. The fear of disappointment. The fear of living up to people's expectations. The fear of not knowing where their life is going. And sleep becomes the easiest way to avoid all of those fears at once. A hiding place that looks harmless from the outside. But here's the truth that hurts the most. People who sleep too much are often the ones who feel they're never allowed to rest emotionally. They've been strong for too long. They've been pretending for too long. They've been carrying everyone else's expectations while neglecting their own needs. Their oversleeping isn't weakness. It's accumulated exhaustion. Emotional, mental, and spiritual. Oversleeping is the body's way of saying, you are tired in ways you haven't even acknowledged yet. You don't oversleep because you're lazy. You oversleep because you're overwhelmed. Because you're carrying things alone. Because you're silently battling emotions no one can see. Because life demands too much from you and offers too little in return. But here's something most people miss. Oversleeping is also a sign that you crave a different kind of life. One with peace, meaning, direction, and emotional safety. Your body is begging for a life that doesn't drain you. Your mind is asking for rest you never give yourself when you're awake. Your heart is asking for softness, for relief, for hope. And if you're someone who sleeps too much, you probably know this feeling. The moment you wake up, there's a split second of clarity. A moment where life feels fresh, light, almost manageable. But then reality returns. Your responsibilities, your doubts, your unfinished dreams. And that tiny moment of peace disappears like it never existed. You're not wrong for wanting more sleep. You're not weak for needing a break. You're not defective for shutting down. You're simply human. A human trying to survive feelings that were never meant to be carried alone. A human caught between wanting rest and wanting escape. A human who deserves gentleness, not judgment. But oversleeping also teaches something profound. It reflects how deeply you long for a life where being awake feels safe again. A life where you don't need to hide inside hours of unconsciousness to feel okay. A life where your days don't feel like battles and your nights don't feel like surrender. Oversleeping isn't the end of you. It's the beginning of understanding what your soul has been trying to tell you. You need space. You need calm. You need clarity. You need a break from being everything for everyone. You need a life that doesn't drain you just by existing. When people start healing, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, their sleep naturally changes. They wake up with purpose. They wake up with softness instead of fear. They wake up with a life that feels meaningful instead of heavy. Oversleeping is not your identity. It's a message, a whisper, a cry for help wrapped in silence. Not "you are weak," but "you are tired." You are overwhelmed. You deserve rest, not escape. People who sleep too much are not running from life. They are trying to gather the strength to live it. And maybe, just maybe, they're trying to find a version of themselves that doesn't feel so heavy to carry when the sun rises.